your dreams. That's a really hard title to figure out. It's like I'll see you in my dreams and your dreams. That's a little different. Okay. Tony is a freelance writer, poet, and internationally known hairstylist. He lives in Fresno, California with his wife and has a passion for research, history, and writing. His current venture is into quantum physics and its correlation into spirituality. It has inspired him to create his story, I'll See You in Your Dreams. And he's currently working on a sequel, Dream Sleuth. So please let us welcome Tony Miller.
My wife wrote that. I both listened to a lady in French, with a French accent. In French, you can be cussing somebody and it sounds like you're making love to them. In German, you can be making love to them, it sounds like you're cussing. So anyway, I'll start off writing my book. I started writing when I was about 4 on my wall, with a crayon. I've been in trouble writing since then. I decided to write a novel. I went to a few writing groups. Marilyn was one of the authors, one of the speakers for that writers group, so I bought several of her books. Then I decided to put in some of the things I'm interested in. I read an article, and it was with Stephen King and Patterson and on writing. And it said you learn to write by writing. You start taking things that you know about, that you like, weave them all into a good tale, and write a story about the things you like. So the things I like, I've always been fascinated in, is the science of life, the philosophy of life, religion. And it always struck me that science and religion are two sides of the same coin, that they shouldn't be in opposition to each other. I just as a little kid, noting that. So growing up, I would read lots of stuff on quantum physics. It's not hard. I read the simple versions, like the mathematical formulas, but they're really interesting. And one of the major parts of it is that in philosophy, religion, or mathematics, things occur in opposites. And for love, there's hate. For a positive ion, there's a negative ion. For light, there's dark. It's the dichotomy of life. And in physics, they say nothing can exist in a singularity. It all is a duality of the universe. And so that means there can't be one of anything. It has to have its opposite to exist. Like you can't have light without dark. You can't have good without bad. They're parts of they're flip sides of the same thing. So if that's true, I thought I would write a novel using some of those things. And even though I don't say it's actually a love story set at the Butte song. I'll read this notes from the author at the beginning of this book. Although this is a work of fiction, my story is centered on real historical facts and places. The field of physics and quantum physics validates such things as parallel universes, time travel, theorizes that each individual must exist in at least 2 universes. I have spent many hours in research on the sociopath, who can best be described as people who are compulsively destructive. These people won't like my book. This is not a ghost story in the traditional sense, or simply a love story. It could be called a historical novel in a way that is more true than not. It is a combination of the 3, like life. It is the quest of 2 people to find love and fulfillment through such formidable barriers as time, space, evil, and even death. Love is a powerful force. Combine such a force with a powerful dream and it cannot be overcome. Dreams, after all, are what the ancients believed created it all. The 2 the 2 oldest, when I was researching, it was the Aboriginals in Australia. They were heavy-duty philosophers, believe it or not. I think you've researched probably a lot of dreams, so that they'd ask them, and there was another in India in the Sanskrit literature, what was here before the physical universe? And they both described it as the dream. It certainly makes sense. At night when you go to sleep, you you go off into dreams. You go off away from the physical universe into the dream time. I thought that makes a little bit of sense. Most all religions speak of a lifetime. How many lives are contained in a lifetime? How many chances do we get to fulfill our destiny? There are many possible answers, and my story is one of them. So, this is probably someone comes to me and say, I wore my work license to death for this, but this is a physicist that looked through all the stuff that when I wrote this, he read my book. He actually liked my book, and so here you can see him, we're kind of battling back and forth on he doesn't think Einstein thinks time travel is possible, not probable, but possible. Everybody, I don't know if you've read that before, but he did. He thinks, and this is his explanation of why he thinks time travel is not possible, because you can't go faster than the speed of light. He said, if you're looking back in the past, you can't go faster than light can be coming to you from the past. If you can go faster than the speed of light, you can go back in time. But there is one thing, if there is one thing that goes faster than the speed of light. And I love my philosophy. I think it's better than most of that. If you think of what was here before, look, let me say it this way. How do they describe this universe that you see that we all agree upon? Reality. How do they describe it? It has matter, particles, energy, space, and time. So all physicists agree that space wasn't here until the Big Bang. And if that's true, if there was no space until the Big Bang, what did it go bang in? Is it funny nobody ever asked, well, there was no space, where did the Big Bang go bang in? Others say, the religious side says, God said, let there be light, and there was light. Well, if you look up the word let, there's a request or a command. Who is he talking to? Let there be light. There has to be a recipient for communication. So who was God talking to? I've got an explanation for that, believe it or not. Really, you will not believe how much research I did on this. If you ever want to do, you put just on your computer, put good on this side, bad, happy, sad, laughter, tears. Do the dichotomies of words. You do the whole dictionary if it takes you. There's a point where you'll get an epiphany, you'll get struck by lightning. That's what happened doing that. The epiphany of words. Now I remember as a little kid, I didn't understand this, but my mother, one time she had taken me to church, and I was like, oh my God, I got to go to church again. I'm sad now, I'm going to play in the neighborhood. And she had, I said, why, she had the Bible down. Why do you read this book? This was the Bible. And she goes, honey, anytime you need to know the answers to something, you just open that book, and the answer will be right there. So to me, it's like Star Wars. She put the book down, and she went into the kitchen. So I just opened it. First thing I read was, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Have anybody ever read that? Yeah. And get this, the Word was God. Now it took me all of this for that to dawn on me what that means. What does it mean? Exactly what he says it means. So if it all springs from words, the words have opposite meanings. Do that. You'd be surprised what they'll clarify in your mind if you do that. So, back to my book. If you're sitting right there listening to me, you're also in another universe opposite to this one, according to physics. The duality of the universe. And first I was thinking, well, what could be opposite of this? That if I asked all of you to think of a black cat with a white tip on his tail and 4 white feet, who can do that? Everybody can do that, right? Okay, you see a black cat with a little white tip on his tail? You created a cat with a white tip on his tail and 4 white feet. And that cat exists. We would battle with each other, and yet it has no matter, no energy, no space, no time. That's what physicists say. I actually rearranged that as a better acronym. Space, time, energy, and matter. That's a STEM. Where's it all STEM from? So matter, energy, space, and time. So the opposite of that would be no matter, no energy, no space, and no time and yet exists. What would that be? What can exist with no matter, energy, space, and time? That can exist. It has no matter, energy, space. That's the other universe. The other universe, opposite of this one, that's what it is. So if there's ghosts, now think about ghosts. I was trying to find, this is all just to show you what ghosts in my universe, what would it be? What are you seeing if you see a ghost? You're slightly seeing into that other universe. Don't that make sense? If that's true, according to physicists, when somebody sees a ghost, they're looking into it. What if you could take a filter and filter out the sine waves of the light hitting you from this universe? If you could filter them and beef up the other one, could you now make this one go away and start to see that one? Physicists, it should be possible to do that. You only see waves that are hitting you and how you interpret it. So, the book is not all about that. The book is just a love story, but it's based on a lot of real good science. I do this one with my poor clients, so maybe I'll read you a little bit of my favorite part. I have two characters. One is named Charlie, and he's just kind of a regular guy, chases girls and stuff like this. He has his best friend is a guy named Stanley. He's got a PhD in physics. So they're complete opposites. They're the odd fellows of I think there's something out of here too. I really learned to write on restroom walls, poetry. Remember the restroom walls like back in the 60s, man, they had the walls were covered in things. It was very good, like very entertaining. So Stanley's a real smart guy. He's got a buddy named Charlie, and they rank on each other all the time. So I'll just read something that I get a kick out of writing. Stanley entered Denny's and quickly scanned the entire restaurant, spotted Charlie in a booth, sauntered over, and dropped down into the booth. Stanley was 6'2" and slim, with half curly, tassel mottled brown hair. He had dark brown eyes and wore glasses. Stanley was a handsome guy and was often hit on by the ladies. He dated occasionally, but he just didn't have time for trivial pursuits. Science was his mistress, and he was in love. Stanley's personality was fairly intense, and he possessed a laser ability to concentrate. He had an acerbic humor, and his caustic remarks often cost him anyone who might become a friend. Charlie was like a plastic container. The caustic acid of Stanley's personality had no effect on him. The more acidic the remarks Stanley hurled at Charlie, the funnier Stanley thought them to be. Stanley loved that about Charlie. He needed to curse, spit, and lie at the attempts of humans in the physical universe to hide their secrets from him. He needed to verbalize it as he did. He truly didn't intend to hurt and felt bad when he did. Charlie's immunity to Stanley's acid was a godsend to Stanley's efficiency. "Good morning, sunshine," Charlie chirped his cheeriest voice. "You know, Charlie, just because a few other misfits like you are scattered around this tabernacle of the tasteless, don't think I couldn't grab that butter knife from your greasy and soiled hands and slowly cut your throat." "Stanley, is it just me, or has anyone ever told you you're not a morning person?" Stanley looked around Denny's and back at Charlie. "Why do we always be here at Denny's? Are you attempting to attach cheap to your growing list of low-life attributes?" "Well, number one, we're less likely to run into anyone we know who could only interrupt us. Number two, Denny's will let us sit here for hours to keep refilling our coffee." "Okay, Charlie, so let's discuss why we're here." "Well, let's see then. Okay, how about this? For the last 7 or 8 hours, you've been in an in-depth conversation with the ghost of Aunt Bukes. Now, previous to this, Charlie is a ghost hunter. I'll tell you what, he's up to that. Charlie is a ghost hunter, but he doesn't believe in ghosts. He's still just because, but he says he's a ghost hunter. The girls are extremely into what he has to say. He takes them to places they're supposedly haunted, and they hang on to his every word. So he just thinks he's got the best pickup line in history, but he's trying to develop into a really a good thing. So he's trying to get into a ghost magazine with some good pictures. So he meets a girl that's one of the tour guides at the Buick Song. Does anybody here ever go through the Buick Song? It's really, really cool. I really like it. I wrote this book from 30 years ago. I went through a tour. And in the tour, you go up into Ann Mux's home. And you can, from her room, you can see the loading dock of the train depot. And during this tour that we went, my wife and I, it said that Ann Mux lived here her entire from the time she was 2 or 3 years old until she was 85, and she passed away in that home. And on the wall is this picture of her, Ann Mux, and she's beautiful. Blonde, curly hair. I don't know if you remember that picture. It's on the wall. And she said, in her 20s, she met her true love. She was bad in love. There's a picture of that guy there, too. And she said they were in love, and he went to, but he had to go to Los Angeles for an operation, and he died in surgery. And they say the neighbors around here to this day say they see her ghost from the window looking towards the train depot waiting for her true love to come home. And everybody went to her, including they went, aww. So when I started to write this book, that was what maybe set it there. Is there was a lady that lived next door to my brother in Texas, in Mineola, Texas, and I went back to visit him, and she had just published a story about ghosts in Texas. And so I was looking at her book, and I was going, wow, maybe I want to write a novel and get my info. So I was having a lot of fun with her, kidding her about ghosts. She also believes in Bigfoot, and so she's really fun to harass. I really like her a lot. So one day when I got back, my brother and also we go in the back and bang on the back of her house. And she does have a gun, so. So when we got back, I was emailing back and forth saying, why don't you come out here? You can have a ghost story out here, I tried to get her and my brother to come out. And she says, well, why don't you write one? She said, your brother says you like to write. So then I started to write this a little bit after reading. I had just read the thing about write about something you know about it. Take all the things and the people you know and put them in a book. And learn to write scenes and describe things, and that's what I started to do. When I started to write, I was watching the Parallel Universe on the History Channel. If you ever get a chance to watch it, watch it. It covers some of the ideas I'm talking about. So I was watching that. Linda was reading Nicholas Sparks' novel. Have you read Nicholas Sparks? It's a romance kind of thing, and she's riveted when one of his new ones come out. So that's when I was trying to decide what to write about. I just got an email from her saying, why don't you write? So I put that one moment of time of the romance and science, and I put it in it. And I wrote this just for myself. And I wrote it I took people that I knew that were sociopaths, and I actually have run into a few of them now. And that's a good study. You probably see it. If you don't, I researched the living hell out of every page I wrote on this thing. Go watch have you ever heard the BTK killer, Bind, Torture, Kill? President of his church congregation, the most honest thing guy. Go watch his interviews. He describes killing women like I would describe, golf. He's just like, they have no conscience. If you read enough about it. So I have the bad guy in my book. I love the bad guy. My wife, she was pretty good my book article. You suck up. I was like, everything. I was like, all right, yeah. So take care of. So everybody's read my book since then. I have a wine doctor named Sue Stone. So when I went in, I said, I read your book. She said, I'm telling you, I got about halfway through it, and I was so pissed off I had to put it down for 2 weeks before I could keep writing. Because I got a really good bad guy. And authentic, to what bad guys do. Sociopaths. They make up about 3 to 5% of the society. But they don't sound like much, but that means every 100 people goes by, 3 to 5. That's what it would say. Anyway, so in the book, that's what it covers, that kind of thing. But what I'm fascinated the most about is the metaphysics of things, the physics and the religion of things, and how that they agree. So I wrote a poem at the end. I also was a poet first, so I wrote a poem to kind of say what I found out. It's called Dreams. Dreams give birth to all, or so the ancients say. A dreamer dreamed in antiquity, and we were on our way. Let there be light, some say he spoke anew. I only wonder who it was that he spoke it to. There were no ears to hear, no eyes to take it in. We were part of that dreamer that helped it all begin. Our world in 3 dimensions is dependent on you and me. There are many sides to everything created by point of view. So, if we are part of the dreamer and we helped create it all, do we have responsibility to help prevent its fall? Should we really love our fellow man, that dreamer just like us? Should we turn our backs and let him fail and avoid a nasty fuss? Or do we dream a better dream that takes us to the side of light? Or do we close our eyes and dream of eternal night? We can dream of love and happiness, or punishment for one and all. For our wishes for others, eternal fate may be our own at the final curtain fall. So anyway, the other thing in there is a book. Anybody have any questions?
Have you watched Fringe?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
That's parallel universe.
Yeah, parallel universe. Yeah, it is just kind of interesting. If you have, let me finish with one thing. Like when I hit the point of like, what is the if there's a parallel universe to this, what is the opposite of matter, energy, space, and time? What would be the opposite? What would have no matter, energy, space, and time and still exist? And it dawned on me one time, just think about this. This is like interesting. Consciousness. It was right before the Big Bang. Boom, according to science. What was there before? Nothing. Zero. It would be mathematically zero. See, because this is something. What's the opposite of something? Nothing. So what was there before something? Nothing. Mathematically zero. What was there before God said, let there be light? What was there? Nothing. So they agree in the beginning. Is that true? There's absolutely nothing. So if it was spoken to existence, if that consciousness of nothing, if it just conceived of a point of light, if a consciousness conceived of a point of light, it would create space for you to be able to be not it. That would create space by itself. To be 3-dimensional, you create you create an infinity of points to view it, to be able to see it from all the way around. So if that many people saw one spot at the same time, it's like a laser beam, it would make a big explosion. So that way, at least with mine, both sides would be true. That original entity conceived of a point of light, so many people can see it at the same time, boom. So at least I can pull together in my mind how science and religion are both sides of the same coin. Any other questions?
Do you drive your wife crazy?
Yes.
And that's my sister back there with the pink hair. I drive her crazy. Yes, I test it all. I eat for a breast cancer awareness month.
Is your book from a publisher? Or?
It's on Amazon.
But I need to know, you're not self-published?
Yeah, it's yeah.
I was going to say, did you do your own cover?
I didn't do it.
I hired him. He wrote it like a year or so before, and he never thought it was going to be published. So before Christmas last year, I had it edited, hired a help.